I find it rather obvious that the technologies that we're utilizing today are from techniques of old that also had technologies of old off of the techniques that were still even older. And we're just going through these cycles. And that, yes, there is technologies that are being utilized by a elite minority that the majority would benefit thereof. It's magic. It's sleight of hand. It's misdirection. These are techniques, and people can laugh in one angle, but in reality, if you were standing in front of the magician, he would trick you all day long.
Yep.
And if you didn't even know there was a magic show going on, guess how much more trickery would be afoot?
And you would believe it.
Absolutely, because you'd have no reason to believe it, because you wouldn't think there's a show going on. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've just been sitting down having a casual conversation with someone, amicable, right? I do a lot of remote work and man camps. You meet strangers, you have a meal. That's the extent of your interaction with that human being for the rest of your life. But it's amicable until the moment you bring up something that causes them to pause and question, like you said in the dream, right? Just like you said in the dream, when you question, it pulls you out of the dream. I would suggest that in reality, when I give people pause to question their reality, it pulls them right out of that. And something unreal then enters the conversation, which I refer to as their programming. I can watch the real experience that I was talking to a minute ago turn off.
Yep.
And I can watch the program that they've been, I guess, exposed to for the entirety of their life from every direction take control. And I will proceed to get regurgitated propaganda from whatever is their favorite info stream, like a computer.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Exactly so.
It's both terrifying and amazing because it's technology. I can see it as that, but they don't understand that they've been programmed.
And you can't tell them otherwise.
No. This was part of the Montauk stuff back in the day that people can, I mean, they can look up the information. This is out there. What they were doing with the SAGE radar at the inception of these programs, and when they were trying to dial in people, they would shoot out a signal to the greater Long Island area. That was a phone number. Simply just crank out a phone number. Who calls the number? Simple plan. And then somebody would literally just wind up feeling like a lunatic, calling the phone number going, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I keep hearing this phone number in my head, so I'm calling.
And then guess what?
Yeah, guess what? Yeah, you just won the lotto. There's a gentleman by the name of Itzhak Bentov, and he wrote a book called Stalking the Wild Pendulum, which is cited heavily in the works of the CIA for the mental work that they were doing on the children. I mean, this is literally part of the format and structure that gave them the basis and belief system to work with. And it goes very clearly that we have this perspective that we're here in our waking state, and that when we go to sleep, so to say, whatever sleep is, that phenomenon, that there's a transition, there's a science, there's a reality that we can discuss, and there's a vocabulary to be created, because that's life. And we need to understand that it's a lot more complex than what our five senses have been letting us know up to this point, because our five senses do not do justice to the reality around us when they only give us a very short-sighted view of the observable reality, which is just basically a condensation in a way of the rest of reality that we don't get to observe, but still is important and impacts us constantly because it's not unreal. The entire length of Long Island, I would suggest to people, is a giant fortification. Because just from a nation's point of view, the amount of industrial parks that are building parts for things that we need to run always, and I mean, like, these are the machinations of a society and its defense. And then if you want to protect that facility that makes that doohickey, then guess
You'll
what?
protect it.
You'll protect the shit out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially, yeah,
Yep.
from what they've done.
Mm-hmm. Mark Passio, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he discusses human beings and says that as much as we don't like to hear it, the nature of human beings is that we're programmable.
Yeah.
That's our nature.
Yes.
So there are folks, and again, you know, he also says it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not, they believe it. So they believe humans are very programmable. They have intentions on what roles need to be filled. They also have designs on what it takes to properly train someone to do that role. And they're most certainly not going to wait for you to give authorization for your child to get into the program that they know it takes 20 years to make the product they want. And that's what I'm trying to impress upon folks, I guess, is that that's the true way that our military industrial complex works.
Yep.
They have products that they need, and they truly understand the process, and they will apply it. And you will be ignorant. You will pay your mortgage. And they will do what they want with your kids whenever they want to, and you will have no idea because you don't understand the technique, and you don't understand the technology. Heaven forbid somebody is told that their child is being manipulated without their knowledge.